Aloha and welcome in, guys, to your Wednesday Week 9 wrap-up, Week 10 look ahead. Congratulations yet again to everyone who's jumping on board with the that's this guy and our team, the PFFT. We go 3-2. Not huge, definitely not huge, but we'll get to it in a minute. But we told you guys, trick or treat, be careful. We called all of our shots. We told you be careful on the Lions game. We told you we smelled a rat on the Green Bay game. We told you all the heavy favorites. The only heavy favorite to cover was the Rams, which I'll get to in a minute as well. But the bottom line is we go 3-2. And honestly, if you look at the two losses, it should have been a little bit better because we absolutely got kind of jinxed a little bit, so to speak. But that being said, a win's a win and a loss is a loss, and that's the only way we look at it. But we went 3-2, but more importantly, we hit our double up play of the week. We'll somewhere here at the end of the wrap up, my son will have inserted the pictures for our San Francisco bet. Of course, we told you we were a little shit because of all the other lines. We were a little hesitant, so we went with the alt line. We told you we took San Fran actually taking a point. We were going to stick with the money line, but we found one, San Fran taking a point. So our 800 got us 13 back. Not a great bet in terms of total profit, but it was the best one on the board that we felt comfortable doing. And the key is, because every week we double, so to speak, right? We lay everything we took from the last week and lay it all on the next week. And, you know, if we can get to set at 4, like we explained, we're teaching you guys not just week to week what team to pick. We're teaching you guys how to beat the house. We're teaching you guys like a 4-team parlay. We said a 4-team parlay pays you, 10, maybe 12 even to 1. Now we're going with law of averages here. If you go with money lines, and there's all kinds of ways you can look at this and up and down your odds and stuff. But a standard, let's say you just take favorites or dogs by the posted spreads. A 4-team parlay will get you somewhere between 10 and 12. But with the double up method, we're getting you 16 to 1, which is a huge jump from say 10 to 1 at most places. So we love that. And again, we want to teach you guys how to beat the house. Before we go any further, our quote of the day, and this time it's from Anonymous, meaning no one really knows who said it first, but nonetheless, it makes a lot of sense. And with the way, again, our country is headed, and everybody's so divided, and all the politics and all the nonsense going on, especially all the hate coming from the left and everything like that. We just want to say that attitude is the little thing that makes the big difference. That's it. Attitude is the little thing that makes the big difference. Instead of barking at a guy that maybe gave you the stink eye, consider that maybe he's having the worst day of his life and just move on without saying anything. Just a little bit of grace, like they say. Show some people a little bit of grace. Nobody's saying be in a doormat. Nobody's saying eat sandwiches that you don't have to eat, that you didn't order. But show a little grace in this world, and the return will be tenfold, I promise you. All right, let's get to our week, okay? So everyone got tricked this week. We went 3-2. We hit our double up again. We know, not to mention, we gave you a bunch of player props, and a lot of them, nothing happened. But again, player props are like more for fun. They're small little wagers and stuff. But we absolutely, the one that we harped on almost the most, we freaking nailed it with Brock Bowers. We told you Brock Bowers over it was I think it was 6 receptions. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I think it was 6 receptions, was like plus 425 or something. But we told you over 10 was at least somewhere between 6 or 8 to 1, and 12 was even, and we said that we loved it even at 10. We would have done the 12 if we had it on our board. I'm in a state where we have to live and die with MGM bet. So we only have so many choices and things. But for those of you lucky enough to live in states where everything's legal and you've got FanDuel or you've got DraftKings especially, or like you live in Vegas and you can go there to the Circle, which is the greatest sportsbook of all time, there at the Circle Hotel across the street from the downtown California hotel. The props, the player bets, the fly-by, and the in-games, it's just crazy. If I ever move to Vegas, I will continue hopefully with this, and we will be able to give you guys so much more information and excitement, because we're kind of going, I go on the internet a lot and look up a lot of this stuff because, again, we don't have it here. So, but congratulations to anybody that listened to us. We called Brock Bowers over 6 receptions. We called Brock Bowers over 10 receptions. We said we even take him over the yardage, especially 100 yards. We felt like a 100-yard game was coming. And an anytime TD, he got 3. So he was the Raiders' literal offense. So we nailed that for you. Congratulations on that. I'll tell you guys another one here. So we had our wins this week. Of course, we had the San Fran. We hit it. We had the Raiders, which crazy, right? The end of the game. But we told you. The line was somewhere between 2.5 to 3.5. We absolutely said to take that, but we suggested you even buy a point and get it to 4.5. So 24-20 kind of score, you'd be covered, because we liked the cover. We weren't really super confident on the Raiders winning outright. So and by that I'll tell you guys something else too. Sorry about that. I got a little dust in my eye or something. Okay, so we're reviewing again. Last week, we hit our San Fran double up. That was the most important one. We hit that. We had Houston. Now, again, not making excuses, but we ran into some bad luck there. CJ Stroud gets a concussion in the first freaking quarter. And as you saw, Houston, it till the end, it was 15-15. It was there for Houston to cover. But with CJ out, we couldn't move the ball, or Houston couldn't move the ball. Their defense may be the number 1 defense in the NFL right now, I'm telling you. But in any event, we lose that one barely. But again, if you're playing it smart, like we're trying to teach you guys, and you got where Houston maybe was taking a point, and then you bought back 2 more, and then it's a tie. And so, because they lost by 3. But again, we go by the posted lines, but at the same time, anyone that follows us from week 1 with how we teach you to always take the better lines, tease it, whatever, Houston could have been a possible cover for you. That's one of the things we're trying to point out too. Go back and look from week 1 to now. A lot of our picks, I'd say 85% of our picks, we're in the game till the end. We're not on the wrong side of the Denver-Dallas blowout. We were all over Denver. We took Denver every which way you could. We were not on that Dallas side where with teasers, with all the help, because I know like in Vegas, there's 10 and 12 point teasers. Where I'm at, there's only a 7-point teaser. There's a 6, a 6.5, and a 7, which totally sucks. But I'll save you the headache of grumbling about that. But in Vegas and a lot of places online, they have these 10 and 12 point teasers. Again, that would have saved you. But nonetheless, so San Fran wins, Houston lost. Our other loss was Pitt, Indy over. Again, not making excuses, but Indy had 6 turnovers. If they don't turn it over a couple of the 6 times, just 2 of them where they were close to scoring, that game easily goes over. And keep in mind, guys, these are all little things that we're going to talk about today along the way. But Pittsburgh got 6 turnovers and won the game by 7. So is Indy that good on sudden change on defense? Because Pittsburgh's pretty efficient with Aaron Rodgers right now. Or is Pittsburgh really not that good all the way around? And are they really conservative with their play calling? Or are they just not that powerful moving the ball? We think a little bit of that's more the fact. Anyway, and our final win was, again, the Raiders. Like we said, the line was somewhere between plus 2.5 to plus 3.5. We said to find the highest line you could and buy back another point, taking it to either 3.5, so you're protected against the field goal, or 4.5, where like the 24-20 score there. And again, guys, this is how crazy the NFL is. At the halftime, the Raiders Jacksonville game at halftime was like 6-3 or 9-6 or something like that. It was on track to stay under. No, we didn't have the over/under on that, but that was totally on track to stay under. And you end up with 30-29, Raiders going for 2 at the end and almost winning outright, which that would have been nice on the money line, right? But again, guys, congratulations. We nailed 3 out of 5, 3 wins, 2 losses. When I know a lot of places all over YouTube, all the expert pickers, all the pundits, a lot of guys had rough weeks. 1-4, 0-5, 2-7. I mean, it got ugly out there. So we've been holding our own every week. One thing we haven't done this year, and we absolutely are going to get involved next year, is the Survivor thing. I play Survivor. I'm actually still alive. I even show you guys our Survivor pool, like with the ESPN, and we are still alive. But it's been tough, and what we didn't realize is how popular it is. I didn't really consider how popular that play is. So we like that. We want to give you guys as much information to win as we can and beat the books as we can. So that's the bottom line. So anyway, so you guys know, we're going to be showing you guys that. Along at the end here of the video for this wrap up for the Wednesday, week 9, going into week 10. Not only are we my son's going to show you guys the ticket for our double up with San Fran. Like we said, we're always going to bring receipts. We had an interesting parlay, again, teaching you guys how to beat the house or how to maximize your numbers. So, and again, how accurate my team can be at all of this. So there's a parlay ticket I want to show you guys where we picked the Rams by 24. So it's a little bit of a window. It was Rams winning by 19-24, and we put that down. We put our money down on it. We had that, the Raiders, which, as you could tell, we were screaming for the 2-point conversion, and they went for it. They came up short because Geno Smith just is totally garbage. But and then we had the Cardinals on Monday night, which was not a popular bet, by the way. Everybody we found out went Dallas, but $20 would have got us $398. So almost so call it 400, right? So that is a 20-1 on a 3-team parlay, because we had the Rams by a specific score window, and Raiders was the money line. We took we really thought that Raiders could win this game outright, and then we took Cardinals actually +4. They didn't even need it. We should have taken that for the money line too. And along those lines, so a teaching moment to ourselves and you. Had we done that on this parlay rather than the Cardinals plus the 4.5, rather than a $398 payout, it would have been closer to $600, maybe more, but it would have been closer to $600 on a 3-team parlay for $20. So there you go. There's also we'll show you guys a parlay like that we did hit. Again, we didn't give this information out a lot. We're going to start giving you guys, but we do touch on everything with the spreads and stuff. And we took Falcons plus the points, Steelers plus the points, and the LA Chargers and Titans over for a 3-teamer. It paid nicely. We put $50 on it. We got, we're getting a couple of $100 back. But the point being is that that was kind of an easy win. What really stood out with this parlay as well was, again, had we taken the Falcons money line, which didn't come true, but a missed field goal, there would have been a storyline that Falcons win. But the Falcons money line, Steelers money line, that absolutely came through. And then the same thing, the Titans and LA Chargers over. Again, $20 would have get you closer to 600. And along those lines, again, guys, with the money line parlays, Green Bay loses outright to Carolina. We didn't see that coming, but we did warn you. You go back and listen. We said that historically this is an interesting game, and that we called it a 3-point game. We said the last time that with these two quarterbacks, Love and Young, it was 33-30 Carolina wins. So everybody's calling this their big I'm sorry, no, Green Bay won it. I think Green Bay won it by 3. But point being is that it was a 3-point game. Detroit loses at home to Minnesota. 1, it was a divisional rival. We told you guys to be careful. 2, we follow a lot of better experts and smarter people than ourselves. Number 2, we have a lot of sources that we check with first, and they give us a lot. They give us a lot of food for thought and thoughts to ponder, if you will, weekly along the way. There's a lot. Like I told you guys, I'm putting in 80-hour work weeks here for you guys, trying to make you guys money, and because that's what makes me money down at the sportsbook. So one of the key things that we, divisional games are always tough. But somebody brought up, and we really then took a look at it. They opened our eyes to it. Is Detroit's an easy team to root for. We love the coach. Ever since the MCDC era, they call it, the coach is awesome. Amon-Ra St. Brown is exactly what you want in a player. Goff is an easy guy, and his story is so compelling. All the guys on the team, you just love them. Laporta, Penei Sewell, all these guys are so easy to root for. They had a linebacker last year. God, I can't remember. I think his name was Gonzalez. I'll double check, but it was a Hispanic kid, and he was a long shot to make the team, and he balled out, and he earned his spot on the team. But that's what this team is made up of, a bunch of blue-collar, go-to-work guys. Aiden Hutchinson, he's an elite edge rusher. So you've got, my point is they're easy to root for. And not to take away anything from what they've done, and with all due respect to them, because we love them as a team. They were one of the Super Bowl favorites at the beginning of the year, like doing those exactas. There was no money to be made betting on them early in the year. And they actually surprised us at how well they started out. When they lost to Green Bay right out week 1, we were like, oh, see? But then, since then, they kind of went on a run. But this past weekend, losing to Minnesota heightened a lot of their weaknesses and holes they have. That look at who they've actually beat. Look at all their 5 wins, who they've actually beat and beat up on. And again, I get it. You can only play what's in front of you. You play your schedule, but you take care of that business. But the schedule they've been handed, Minnesota was this weekend in line, and they fell short. Minnesota was never in jeopardy of losing that game, no matter how close the score, the byline says it was never that close. I watched the game. I looked at the tape really well. Again, the big unknown was JJ. With the Minnesota Vikings, not Justin Jefferson, but J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback. We still don't have a lot of tape on him, info on him, a lot of college tape, but not pro tape. And we saw what he did to Chicago on that Monday night in a pinch. This game was a lot more impressive. It wasn't impressive statistically, but it was impressive that he did what he needed to do when he needed to do it. So that's a plus. Again, looking at quarterbacks like Caleb Williams, the kid doesn't turn over the ball. He doesn't throw interceptions. That's huge in games. Interceptions, bad calls by the referees, game-changing plays. Those things, a lot of pros can tell you now that in a lot of these big games, close games, you can point to a handful, like 5 or less, plays or calls that pivot or turn the games to steer it to the win or loss. Pete Carroll used to say that a lot coaching with the Seahawks, and it really opened our eyes to a lot of things. That's how we got really more well informed and better at doing what we do now. Anyway, going back to the weekend wrap up, LA Chargers win but no cover, and they absolutely should have won that game by more. And the fact that they let them Tennessee hang around as much as they did, so to speak, and all that. It was really a weird game. 27-20, very weird game. Nonetheless, we stayed away from that one, as we called you. And then the Colts, we told you guys on that one. And the Colts lose to Pittsburgh on the road. And I don't think it was so much Pittsburgh as it was the Colts beat themselves. TJ Watt stepped up. They got 6 turnovers. But we thought that playing on grass, playing in Pittsburgh, playing on the road, And it's just there was a lot of facets to this diamond, and so it wasn't purely Pittsburgh beating them. That was a part of it, but a lot of it was Indy maybe beating themselves and maybe not being as good as their record reflects. Remember, go back. They should have lost to Denver, but a bad call by a ref where the guy at a 60-yard field goal at the end of the game that they missed, by the way. Supposedly a Denver guy touched a Colts guy, the center, and touched him on his back. I mean, literally touched him. And 15-yard and another try. And, of course, from 45, he nails it, and Denver loses that game. So, and Denver, again, speaking of Denver, they've been a weird, hard to get an exact read on some of these teams still, even at going into week 10, because, again, Indianapolis should have beat the Rams. But then again, that was another, even at the Rams, it's a turf, it's a fast track. So keep that in mind going forward. That Indianapolis definitely plays, but now that we're definitely plays better. Let me finish that on a fast track. Going into the winter now, we're in November. Going into wet weather and going into cold weather and going into windy weather. Now things are going to become a factor. We're keeping a close eye on those things as well. So it's very, very intriguing what is to come here soon. But along those lines, we're gonna break down real quick our early look ahead and the point spreads, and then we'll be back, of course, on Friday with our picks and our weekend release. But we'll get into this here where I got some information for you guys about the tiers in the NFL, or power rankings, if you will. That's not what we call it. We don't like the power ranking thing. But I want you guys to consider now, going from this week. Now is where it starts. Here is where, like Belichick for years with Patriots. November is where it counts. November and December is going to separate the boys from the men. Sorry, I had to get my sheet for the spreads. I'm telling you, I'm a senior citizen, and the Alzheimer's creeps in every once in a while. All right, so first of all, for Thursday's game, we don't really have. We do, but I'll get to it in a minute. We took Denver. So what we did is on Monday night, I knew late. Again, I don't do this on Mondays, and you guys wouldn't get it anyway in time because my son is the editor, so he has to kind of do everything to get it up onto YouTube. So shout out to Jomo. But anyway, Jomo is my guy. He's my son. He's our editor. He's our producer, and he's our everything. And he gets all of our film up and all of our effects and everything and all that. So he's in school. And so Mondays is impossible, but we knew on Monday, especially going down, I like to talk to the sportsbook guys. I talked to a lot of the bettors and everything. Everybody I was talking to and was watching them at the screens, everybody was Dallas over, Dallas over, Dallas. And so I knew by the confirmation at that point, the bias that everybody has on that and stuff is Arizona is a lot better, as you saw Monday night, than people think. And they literally, the statistic, Joe and Troy talked about it on Monday night, that literally Arizona has all of their losses, since week 1, all of their losses combined, and the Seahawks beat them by 3, but total, like 10 points separates all their losses from wins. So in total, which is it's unreal that, and that was partly with Kyler at the helm. And we think Brissett going forward, if they keep using Brissett, they stand a much better chance at playing, which I don't like, because I'm a Seahawk fan, 1, and 2, I have a lot of potential money to be made by the Rams and the Seahawks making the Super Bowl run, and Arizona could play spoiler to that. So, but I call a spade, and Arizona is much better than you think. We're gonna get to that in a minute. But to that point, on Monday night, we put in a parlay bet. We took money line Arizona on a bunch of stuff, but we took basically just for some extra scratch to start on week 10. We put Arizona, the under, Arizona and the under, and Then Denver, I wasn't sure yet. I hadn't gotten enough information yet, but I figured, okay, taking them money line, meaning just having the win on Thursday night outright, and we can collect a nice little paycheck there. So I have that ticket up there for you guys to see, to show you guys I'm not just talking, out one end there, that I can say anything after the fact, right? But show you guys the receipts. And to that point, to keep track of some of our picks and stuff. And again, that's why we really like a lot of different avenues. Don't just always take the spread that's given to you. There's other ways you can make it beneficial, where some of them, the spreads are, you go ahead and take them, they're fine. But some of them, to add, to get you a higher payday, like on parlays and teasers, you can add teams, but you can mitigate the risk by adjusting the lines yourself. So along those lines, we'll get started here. So Denver on Thursday night at home against the Raiders. It's a divisional game, so be careful. That's a red flag. But they're given 9.5, which we like because it's a big number in the sense that it's giving you pause. And that's what the books really want. If everyone is on both sides at 50-50 and they just sit back and collect that vig, that's the easiest way for them to make the most money and have zero risk in it. But we all know that that's not how it goes. Generally, there's a heavy flow of bets one way or the other, 70 or more percent one way or the other from the general public. And so in this one, a lot of the feedback we've heard and seen so far is everybody loves Denver on Thursday night, but they don't like the line. And a lot of the pros, a lot of the pundits, a lot of the YouTubers like myself are coming out already and saying, take Raiders plus the 9.5. I don't disagree with that, but to our point is we think Denver wins, but there's a danger that they don't cover because it's such a big number. We actually think that they will cover because it's such a big line, and Denver's defense. We don't think that their offense is so explosive. Bo Nix can have his moments, and he has played well when he's really needed to, but he's not consistent, and we grant you that, and we hope that he's learning and getting better week by week because we have a lot of potential money tied up in if Denver makes the Super Bowl. That being said, we do know that even without Surtain, Denver's defense is in the top 5, and they are a lockdown defense. They do have trouble covering the running backs out of the backfield on screens. Geno Smith is just, look, as a human being, the guy's a nice guy, but as a quarterback, I think his days are done. He's been horrendous, just flat out. And I love Pete. Geno was a Seahawk for many years, and we thank him for everything he did here. But those two guys right now, they're having a rough go, and so we don't see a path to where the Raiders can win this game, and that's why I took Denver money line. Again, anything in the NFL is possible. Carolina and Green Bay proved that last week, but you take everything everything you see, and apply, like we talked about since week 1, common sense, and really break down the games and the matchups. And again, the further along we get, now going into week 10, you have a lot of data to refer to. And Denver has played some really good teams. More importantly, Bo Nix has showed the propensity to step up when needed. Their defense has been stellar, and he has the potential, Dallas in Denver, of blowing up a team by 40, 50 points even. So Denver at home, especially with the weather now changing and that kind of thing. The Raiders play indoors and on a turf in Vegas that even when it gets cold, that's an indoor stadium. They don't feel the weather, and I'm sure they can practice outdoors and whatnot. It's not the same thing as Mile High. So we like Denver. Again, gun to my head, I take Denver. We also do like the under. If you can still get 43, and we'll go over that too, guys, because 9.5 and 43 right now, we've heard and seen that the Denver line has come down to actually 8.5 in some spots. and because sharp money is going on Raiders. And so be careful with that, because the sharp guys are much better at this than everybody else, right? They're like second only to the books. So again, Denver, we like gun to our head, but the line has gone from 9.5 to 8.5 in some places. But if you can get 42.5 or even play with it a little bit, where again you can either buy a couple of points or tease it, we do like the under. We envision running the simulations. Like we have a thing where we run it Froyland over there at the NFL Network, which we rely on her numbers and her program a lot. And she's one of our main people because she has a very conservative model that she runs 10,000 simulations of every week. And she comes out with this game going 1 point over the posted total at, I think she has it at 44. But she has Denver covering by 13. So, and her model is very conservative. So it does give me pause that her model calls for the over, even at 1 point, because her model is very conservative, and she's very accurate more than not. Like last week, she had a very bad week with the totals and the sides, but so did everybody, but except us. but that being said, Thursday's not a must bet, but if we had to, we would kind of toy with it a little bit. We would take Denver at the money line. We would take Denver on some parlays, minus 9.5, 8.5. If you can get it down to 7, buying back a couple of points or whatnot, we like that. So Denver, but right now our posted line that we can find at the MGM, the Bet MGM, is 9.5 and 42.5, and so that's the line that we're talking about. But anyway, this is not one of our choices for this week. We just wanted to talk about Thursday's game. Sunday's game, the early game, is there's a very extra early game. It's an international game. I believe it's in Germany. But it's international. It's Indy is the home team. It opened at 5.5. I have now, where I've seen on Tuesday, it's at 6.5. That being said, that seems to be some sharp money right now. Interestingly enough, we think that if Indy, we'll say this, at this moment, now again, come Friday, this could be one of our 5 picks. So tune back in on Friday. Right now, the way we look at this game and what the information we're getting is strictly this. If Indy is a true playoff team within the locker room, if they really want to be a playoff team and they think they're a playoff team and they made a move today, they traded for Sauce Gardner with the Jets and all this and they're kind of buying in, and it's kind of, they're shoving their chips into the middle to make a run this year for the Super Bowl. And we think, again, going back to the conspiracy theories with the billionaires paying tribute to Jim Irsay, God rest his soul, who died, maybe Indy gets a few referee calls along the way to help them get there. And so, again, but what our point to this is, if Indy's going to win, they can't win but not cover most of their spreads. They're probably going to cover. We think that there's going to be a showdown between both running backs. Taylor is the established kind of GOAT, and Bijan Robinson is kind of the new blood, but he's touted as one of the generational best running backs in the league right now. But although he hasn't been getting going the last couple of weeks, Atlanta is a really Jekyll and Hyde team with Penix, so you never know what you're really going to get. Their defense is young. At times they show up, at other times you're wondering what the hell's going on. So it's really dangerous when it's a team like Atlanta, because the potential is there to beat anybody, but 9 out of 10 they don't show up and play. Their coaching is kind of suspect, I would say. And so again, where Indy's been pretty consistent, Atlanta's been a roller coaster. So gun to our head, we'd follow the smart money and lean towards Indy. Not over 7 though. 6.5, 5.5, 6.5. We would want obviously to give the least amount as possible. So that's a lean on Indy. Buffalo on the road, 9.5 at Miami, and 49.5. It was 50.5. The only thing I'll say about this, guys, is remember back in the days when the Patriots were the dynasty. Every year that the Patriots would go and have to play on the road in Miami, they would lose. So we're not saying that Buffalo is the new Patriots. What I'm saying is, if an established team who's won championships like Tom Brady and Belichick and the Patriots consistently lost to some really bad Miami teams back in the day when they didn't even have a quarterback or any kind of, they were a losing record those years, they would still give their AFC East rivals a hard time in these the November, December, late October months in Miami, because I think some of it had to do with the humidity and the weather change, the system shock, but there was just a thing about the field. So our point is, Buffalo just came off of a huge win against Kansas City. Probably got their adrenaline, everything was up to 12 out of 10, right? Be careful. It's a spot for a letdown. We do like that the number's high, that it's 9.5 on the road. The book is not begging you to take Buffalo. That is a red flag or key that makes us think that Buffalo may be able to cover there. A lot of times when we put your money down, right? When you put your money down, another thing you want to do is you don't want to take a flyer on betting a team just because the numbers begging you to do it, which is actually the reason why you're doing it. But if you want to watch and enjoy the game, it's hard to really. If you've got Buffalo and Josh Allen, you've got a chance, right? And even if you're down by 10 or 15 points. And it's third quarter, there's still a chance, right? Remember the Buffalo-Baltimore game at the beginning of the year. But my point is, if Buffalo gets up by 21 and you've got Miami, there's probably not the same likelihood or chance as if the roles were reversed. So, again, gun to our head, we're leaning Buffalo right now, but we'll let you know Friday. But again, these are just food for thought, guys. As if you learned anything last week, the NFL is fluky, weird things happen, and the odds makers have giant billion-dollar casinos that they operate out of for a reason, because they're smarter than all of us. So Jacksonville on the road at Houston. Houston's -1.5. The number right now we have on the over-under is 38.5. That is a key one. Look at that one. If you guys, we like the under in that one. We think that it could move down. If you can get 38.5, 39.5 even, grab it as fast as you can. Houston has we don't see where Jacksonville is going to come up with any points. They're not going to be able to move the ball against Houston. I mean, Denver to us, right, is much better than Jacksonville. And Denver had to struggle to get to 18. So if you apply that just last week, Jacksonville isn't even going to get to 18. We don't know right now if C.J. Stroud plays, that's going to change things. We don't know as it stands right now. The backup is slated to play because of the concussion protocol. And so how is Houston going to come up with any points? And so right now we love the under. And again, if you bet the under now and if CJ comes back and it looks like maybe because he's back it could go over, you can always offset it, bet the other way. You lose a couple of bucks in the juice, but you can retract your bet, so to speak. But once that line moves and nothing changes, you're not going to get a better line. So that one is one we're suggesting now, that you take Jacksonville, Houston under that 38.5. And we'll let you guys know Friday anything further. Tampa Bay at home -2.5 and over under a 48.5. This line basically opened at that. It's held at that. It makes sense. One thing we will say about this game is Tampa Bay has been pulling wins out of their butts, but they've played some quality teams. They came into Seattle, they beat Seattle, and they scored a lot of points against a good defense in Seattle, right? They won 38 by 38 to 35, I believe, was the final. But our point is Tampa Bay has played some contenders so far. The Patriots have not. They lost to the Raiders in week 1. But, okay, week 1 is like preseason still, right? But since then, they've gone into Buffalo and they beat Buffalo. That's a quality win, no question. But other than that, I mean, they just had a hard time against Atlanta last week. And again, I just explained, Atlanta, maybe that was the Jekyll, not the Hyde that showed up, right? So, who knows on that one. But Patriots have, beat some teams like Cleveland and Tennessee. So, again, not as the tiers are a little bit different here. So if right now, I love the Patriots. I do. I think that they're legit. I think Vrabel has changed the culture. I think he's one of the better coaches. I think that the quarterback is legit and for real. I think they have some holes. They other than Diggs, they really don't have Bute, but they really don't have that alpha wide receiver. Diggs is their guy, but he's a little bit on the older side, and he's coming back from an injury. Hunter Henry is their tight end, one of the better tight ends in the league, but he's no he's no Gronkowski back in the day type of thing. So their defense also has not allowed big rushing. I think they've held every rusher to under 50 yards, but they're susceptible to the pass. So there's a bunch of things going on there. Tampa Bay is obviously Mike Evans isn't playing. We think that Emeka Egbuka is back, but we're not sure about the running back situation yet. If the starters are going to be back, or if they're going to go with the backup still again there. Right now, gun to our head, we would take Tampa at home minus the 2.5, because again, just one thing that has nothing to do with this matchup, but again, I just talked about Patriots going into Miami in the months of November and December always seem to have a hard time. We think it's because of the humidity and the weather and environment change. The body doesn't get acclimated, and we think that's a part of it. And if that's the case, Tampa Bay is Florida. Okay, Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and Miami are all in Florida. So there's that to consider. Again, we'll dive deeper into it. We'll give you guys way more clarity on Friday. But right now, gun to our head, Tampa Bay, and we don't really have a thought on the total in that one. New Orleans is on the road at Carolina. We do like early. We do like Carolina. The problem is they're given 5.5. 39.5 is the total. Carolina at home is a better team than on the road. But again, they just came off of a big win in Green Bay. They have right now a winning record, and they're telling themselves that they're a wild card contender. So we that's all positives. New Orleans is a dumpster fire right now. We think that Rattler, as bad as he was, is much better than Shug, or Shook, however you say his name, the quarterback that they're going with for the rest of the year. And they just traded one of their best receivers to Seattle today at the trade deadline. So New Orleans, and they've lost their center. He's out for the rest of the year to injury. That's a big deal. The center, the guy hiking the ball, is a big deal. Their defense has holes everywhere. Kamara looks like a shell of what he used to be, and he's over the no tread left on the tires type of thing with Kamara. And so we don't see where points are going to come from with New Orleans. Again, New Orleans going to Carolina. It's a different environment. They're used to playing on a fast turf, fast track, and they're going into Carolina and playing in the grass. We think that Carolina is a little scrappy, and they've got some momentum here. So again, to our head, we like Carolina. We don't like laying the 5.5. I would say right now, I should have, before I jumped on here, I would strongly look at the money line. If you can get the money line at, like around 2-1, that would be not bad versus having to lay 5.5. Or unless you can get an alt line where you can get it at like 3 or under. Obviously the lower the better. I'm not breaking news on that, right? But if you can get a 2.5, right? A key number is 3. So if you can get Carolina giving 2.5, much better payout odds than a money line bet, I'm sure. But it's not 5.5, which scares us because backdoor covers and all that with field goals and whatnot. So, but gun to our head, we kind of like Carolina this week, and we'll get back to you on that. But we're leaning and really looking hard at that game because of the momentum that Carolina may have, and that Carolina may be a lot better of a team than people really believe or think. Baltimore's on the road. Line open at 3.5. It's 4.5 now. We think that line's going to continue to climb. Be careful on this one right now. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's back. We think that he's an easy winner in any game he plays with Baltimore, especially against inferior teams. Minnesota just came off of a huge win in Detroit. The defense showed us something. Minnesota's defense is hitting. If they can stop the run like they did again, Gibbs and the running game there in Detroit with Montgomery. Those two running backs are no joke. They're not Derrick Henry size and they're not Derrick Henry style, but they held Detroit's running game in check. So again, the difference though is Baltimore's running game is not just Henry but Lamar Jackson. So with Lamar at the helm, you gotta fear the guy, and whether you like him or not, he's legit at scoring points. And he can throw the ball, and their defense feeds off of him. And the fact that he's back, they are stepping it up now. And even though they've got a bunch of holes still, they've manipulated that safety to play in kind of freelancing. And so the way he's been playing, Baltimore's getting dangerous, and a lot of the experts think they're going to go on this run and basically win out to win their division. If that's the case, Minnesota's one of the games they have to win. So we said in week 1, the first thing to handicapping is don't even look at the lines. Figure out or realize who's going to win the game. And then apply the spread, because a lot of times, most times, the spread only matters in that it was at a cover, but a lot of times the winner of the game is going to be the cover of the spread. And in this case, we already think Baltimore is going to win. And 4.5 it's a big number on the road, but not so big when it comes to a team like Baltimore and a guy like Lamar Jackson. So we'll get back to you on Friday on that one, but that was one to keep a close eye on. If you think that both sides are going to, battle it out, so to speak, and McCarthy is going to show his running ability and all that, and maybe an angle to play is the over on that one at 47.5. We're not suggesting that, but you might want to take a look at that. We do, again, lean Baltimore right now, but the sharp play in this, as we are looking at it, we think is Minnesota, so that there's that as well. So again, we'll let you know more on Friday. New York Giants on the road at Chicago. Chicago's minus 3.5. 48.5 is the over. We're right now not a lot to say other than Chicago. I mean, what do you say about that game last week? I think there was a statistic in the Cincinnati-Chicago game of plays over 10 yards. I think if I did not, I could be wrong, but if I didn't mishear this, I think there were 45 plays of over 10 yards in this game. That's mind-blowing, insane. It's opened with Cincinnati running back the kickoff to open the game, so there's 7 right away. But if you guys watch the end where Chicago literally was basically up by 2 touchdowns, and gets an interception at the 5-yard line that should about the 2-minute mark, which should kind of seal the deal. And the guy actually ran all the way back for a touchdown, and then they looked at it again and said, okay, no, he was down by contact, which we again think the referees blew that call, because the guy touched his leg as he was catching the ball, intercepting the ball, going to the ground, but he hadn't gained control yet. So he hits the ground, makes the interception, gains control, gets back up untouched, and runs it back the other way, 95 yards for a touchdown. They claim that he was touched on the way going down, which puts him down by contact. Our argument is only if he had control of the ball, which he clearly didn't at that moment. Irregardless, they called it an interception, but not a touchdown. So you think, okay, they're up 2 touchdowns and just got this interception. Game's over. No, not so fast. They go 3 and out. Cincy, Flacco turns on his magic, scores a quick touchdown. They onside kick it. They get the onside kick. They bing, bang, boom. They drive right down, score another touchdown, go for 2, make the 2-point conversion. Now they were down I'm sorry, the first touchdown they scored the 2-point conversion. So they're only down by 6. The onside kick, they score a touchdown, kick the extra point, they're up by 1. There's like 54 seconds or something left, and Chicago has 1 timeout. You guys know the rest. Chicago didn't settle for the field goal. They got a touchdown because Cincinnati doesn't know how to tackle, I guess. Anyway, the game goes way over, obviously. We had Chicago in that game. I'll say this, that from the late third quarter on, you felt comfortable that Chicago was going to cover easily, and it was kind of an easy cover until Cincinnati did the 1-2 and took the lead, and at that point you guys were probably cursing us out. But all that matters, again, in the end, again, we lose some by luck, we win some by luck, but our assessment of the game and the team was correct. How it unfolded, no one could have ever foresaw that. That being said, we were on the right side of Chicago, and so thank God. And that's where we went 3-2, and we thank the football gods on Sunday for the luck whenever it comes our way, because it's always better to be lucky than good. All right, on to Cleveland at the Jets. This line is careful, guys. Right now, okay, so Jets opened up 1.5. They made 2 huge moves today. They got rid of Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle in the middle, and they got rid of Sauce Gardner to Indianapolis. Quinnen Williams went to Dallas. So in both cases, those are 2 Pro Bowlers and all-pro guys. They are definitely difference makers. So the line before any of that happened had already gone New York Jets -1.5 to it was -2.5. Now we have found some lines where Cleveland's giving 2. So, and 37.5 is the over-under. We like, especially now, we like the under in that game, even though Sauce probably helps us keep the under. But that being said, we like the under in that game. We're definitely leaning on the under in that game. The spread, it's just both teams are so inconsistent. As we all know, New York Jets is a dumpster fire. And their coach wears capris. You guys catch that joke we gave you guys a couple of weeks ago. But like we said, no, head coaches in the NFL wear capris, are 0-2 against the spread. Was a funny joke. Well, the following week, freaking the New York Jets covered, so that went out the window. But anyway, but on a serious note, we kind of like Cleveland here at first glance because obviously Garrett and the defense. And Cleveland's defense is legit, but they don't play as well on the road as they do at home. So there's that Myles Garrett and the Cleveland defense. But the Jets are so inconsistent. They've got their running back. He didn't get traded to anybody that like a lot of people thought he would today because I think he was publicly asking for a trade. That being said, they've got Wilson still out, I think, the wide receiver. But we just don't see how they're going to score. On the other side with Cleveland, Dylan Gabriel's still getting the start. Our Hawaii guy, we love him, but he hasn't really shown any explosive potential yet. So we're really wondering where any of these points are going to come from. So we're leaning on the under right now. The line is very wonky, moving from 2 to 2, basically, from one side to the other. So be careful there. We don't quite know why. We don't think it was a sharp money move. We think that it was because of some of the personnel moves that were made. But we'll look into it. We'll let you know further. Seattle at home, -6.5 and 45.5, playing the Arizona Cardinals. A divisional game. You guys just saw what Arizona is capable of on Monday night against Dallas. Their defense is for real and legit. Their offense can move the ball. And this team is not as bad as their record reflects, I don't think. I know there's a famous saying, right? You are what your record says you are. But with Arizona, man, they have had some funky, weird breaks, like the Tennessee game and the way they lost that game. But that being said, and we'll get to the tiers here at the end, you'll be surprised. Arizona may shock a few people, and I'm not afraid of it in this sense that iron sharpens iron and steel sharpens steel, and that's why we think that whoever emerges out of the West, NFC West, is going to be a legit contender in the playoff run. Rams, the 49ers, Seahawks, and an outside long shot at Arizona, because they all are some of the best teams in the NFC right now and NFL right now. And so whoever emerges from those four as the divisional winner will have earned their spot in the playoffs. And if they're relatively healthy at that moment, at the end, look out, they're going to be the ones to no one's going to want to play. So right now we're leaning, obviously, Seattle. Seattle has been road warriors. They have 11-1 record on the road under McDonald. It's best, only a better coach in history is George Seifert from the 49ers back in the day. So McDonald has set a weird precedent of being road warriors. That being said, they have been not so strong at home, which was the Seahawks used to be the moniker that it's one of the toughest places to play with the 12s. So we don't know what's going on there. We don't know if it's a lack of focus, but there seems to be this home jinx right now going on with Seattle. That being said, we are leaning towards Seattle winning this game. Gun to my head, and I can't believe I'm saying this because I am a Seahawks homer to the core. But based on what I saw on Monday night and the way Arizona is playing, and if Jacoby Brissett plays the quarterback position, not Kyler Murray, we like Arizona to cover if you can get a 7 or a 7.5. And we think that Seattle is going to be a very, very chalky public line team. Everybody this week's talking about how the Seahawks are the next, the new hot shiny thing, and so there's going to be a lot of recency bias on this, and the house or the bookies already know that. I'm telling you, something stinks with this line. If it was, I'd feel a lot better if it was at 7.5. To be honest, I would then think that Seattle stands a better chance at covering. But at 6.5. They're almost begging you to take Seattle at home, and that bothers me. So we are going to look further into that one. Washington at home, getting 8.5 and 50.5. Now 49.5 is the posted total. Detroit opened 7.5, and then we all know what happened with the young quarterback there on Monday night, and he is out for the foreseeable future. I think he's out for the season. You're going to be rolling with Marcus Mariota. On that one, gun to our head, obviously, we're taking Detroit. They're going to be pissed off from that Minnesota loss, but they are on the road, and this is a bad field. A lot of people are getting injured, especially, just that quarterback on Monday night dislocating his elbow. If you guys saw the replay on that or went back and watched it, it was horrible. Prayers go out to him. Hopefully he recovers and comes back strong and healthy, but he's not going to. He'll be out for a while. And anyway, our point to that is the field is funky. Detroit, remember, is an indoor team that likes a fast track. We think still Detroit is a much better team, better coached, and across the board, lots better personnel. But there's a lot of question marks, right? Penei Sewell may not play. He may be hurt. There's a couple of other injuries. Goff just come off of a game. I mean, he was sacked like 5 times. There's some stuff to consider. So, and Washington is an old team. I know. I think Lattimore, their best defensive back, is out, and I think that Lutu or something, the linebacker, I think he's out for 1 game, suspended. That's their best defenders. So Washington, if gun to our head, we definitely take Detroit. But again, it's not something that we would load up on, whimsically. We take a good hard look at it before we do anything. San Fran's at home, divisional game against the Rams. Rams are giving 3.5. It opened at 49.5 total, but it's now 50.5. This one, we're leaning San Fran because it doesn't seem to matter who gets hurt and how decimated they are by injury. They just keep on trucking. And more than that, the main thing that we're doing is there's a long history between Shanahan and McVay. And if you go back and look at it, oddly enough, the one or two times in the last 5 years that McVay has beat Frisco, it was by 3 points exactly. Every other time has been San Fran has won or won by a lot. And we don't really know exactly why, but it seems like for some reason Shanahan has McVay's number, even though McVay is, we think, a much better coach and has proved it by going to and winning a Super Bowl in both of their short tenures. Shanahan's no slouch. He's a great coach as well. But if we had to take one coach over the other, we would take McVay. He's a lot more creative. But that being said, for some reason, San Fran has his number, and trend-wise, we think San Fran at home plus the 3.5 is it's going to be a dogfight. We're not really looking forward to laying our money on either because you're going to be squeezing and pulling your hair out till the end because it's going to be that kind of a game. But if you had to, we would lean San Francisco. Sunday night, Pittsburgh's on the road playing the Chargers. There's a couple of issues here. Pittsburgh just came off of a win, a must-win. They usually do well as a dog, but a home dog, not so much as a road dog. Problem is the Chargers lost. They've got both tackles are now out for the year. Joe Alt left tackle went out last week, and he's also done. The Chargers did make a move and got an offensive lineman in the trade deadline today. But that being said, it's not one of their former tackles that are out, Pro Bowlers type guy level. So it's some help, but it doesn't better them. It just plugs kind of puts a Band-Aid on a bleed, if you will. So that one's a tough one. We know as Sunday night, there's a lot of interest in that game, so we will work hard to find out and give you something on it. The Chargers are -3, 45.5. We'll look at it right now. I'm telling you, we don't even have a lean on this game. A gun to my head, like for real, like gun to my head, say something or else. I mean, I guess I would take the better team, which is the Chargers. Offensively and defensively, they're a little bit better. But, Pittsburgh has a lot of defensive potential, and Rodgers has a lot of experience, and they do have, some personnel and weapons. Man, this is going to be a tight one, we think. So we'll get back to you on it. Monday night, of course, Philly on the road, off of a bye, going up to Green Bay. Green Bay -2.5, 44.5. We think that Philly is going to be a public dog, a big favorite dog this week, if you will. The public is going to be heavy on Philly, especially them coming off of a bye. And on the other side, Green Bay coming off of the outright loss to Carolina. That is a very big recency bias that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So if right now, gun to our head, trend-wise and sharp-wise, we think that you have to go Green Bay because the line is basically enticing you to take Philly, and the public is going Philly, and you always want to fade the public and stick with the sharps on a game like that, and Green Bay is getting the sharp money right now. But things can change, and so we'll let you know Friday. But just letting you know the leans right now. Now, we just want to talk about real quick before we wrap up tonight, and thank you so much for tuning in, though. But we think you guys will find this interesting. Again, at the end, my son will show you guys the tickets for this week and some of the thought-provoking ways you can play to make money. And what it is, the way we're trying to teach you is you can risk a little, 10, 15, 20 bucks, and make a lot, a really big one. I'm excited to show you guys a round robin parlay that I have in for this coming week. It's a lot of money line dogs or long shots, but it's only like $1, and it's a round robin. So I think I have like 9 teams or 10 teams or something on there, but I've got them playing them by 6s or something. So if any one of them hit, it's going to be fantastic. If a bunch of them hit, it's going to be amazing. I basically am risking like something like $56, but if everything were to fall just perfect, I literally make almost $5,000. So you like that kind of odds, and none of it is like astronomical where you're laying more points than you need to or anything like that. It's truly just, and again, in the pros, you guys know anybody can win on any given day, and that's what makes it exciting, important. So we want you guys to consider now. We're at week 10. We're at the halfway mark, and we're about to go into the second half and the final stretch at the end there. What we've come up with, the way we look at the NFL right now is there are definite tiers, if you will. Some people say they make their power rankings. Some people just look at the playoff picture if it started today. We look at what we see, the strong teams. A perfect example is we have KC, even though their record is 5-4. We know what they're capable of. We've seen them with our eyes. We know what we see. We know what we can trust. And KC is a top tier team in the AFC and the NFL. But let me read you guys the tiers first and then explain a little bit of it. So in tier 1 in the AFC first, we put 3 teams at the top of the top tier. KC, Buffalo, obviously, who just beat KC, and the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens has a worse record than a majority of the teams I'm about to tell you guys, but you guys know, I don't think anybody would argue or dispute. Lamar Jackson being back, it changes everything for that team, and the defense feeds off of it, but they are capable of beating any team on a neutral field with Lamar Jackson at quarterback. We're not saying they will beat anybody. They're capable of beating anybody, and that puts them in the tier 1 category. At the second tier and right underneath, and it's a very close, I mean, we're talking inches, not miles, Broncos, Colts, and the Patriots. Broncos, there's a lot of problems they need to shore up first, right? They're amazing fourth quarter. They don't seem to do anything in the first and second quarter. They need Bo Nix needs to be a lot more accurate and a lot more consistent. But our point is that their record, all things considered today, the Broncos could beat quite a few of these teams on a neutral field. The Colts have had an unbelievable start. We're about to learn a little bit more about them this week, and every week that they play, we learn a little bit more. But we did learn that they don't do so well on the road at grass like a place like Pittsburgh. So that's why they're not in the top tier, but in the second tier. And finally, the Patriots. Again, they'd be higher up, but they really haven't beaten anybody impressive except the Bills. And the Bills is a divisional rival, so you kind of add that in, which it's impressive, but it would be more impressive if the Patriots would have beat Kansas City, not the Bills. And you can say, well, yeah, but Joe, they just beat the Bills, who beat KC. It doesn't quite work that way, but again, I get where you're coming from, and we actually consider that. So, second tier, Broncos, Colts, and Pats in the AFC, and the final tier, and the AFC is very more clarity than what I'm about to tell you guys about the NFC. But in the third tier, we like the Chargers almost by themselves. We put the Steelers in there because they showed us that when push comes to shove last week, they can turn it on. Our question with the Steelers is, can they keep it on? We know they can turn it on. Can they keep it on? TJ Watt heard all kinds of yapping all week long, I'm sure. Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt are a deadly duo. They've shifted Ramsey to safety. So the defense, as one of the highest priced defenses in the NFL, they need some help, it seems like. On the offense, actually, I'll say that like him or hate him, Aaron Rodgers has been what's been keeping this team afloat, and it's been his accuracy and his play that has kept them in games and have won them the games they have won. So again, we don't know how long all of this lasts. Rodgers is 41. The defense is underperforming by miles. They've only got one true wide receiver, one at DK. They don't really have a 1-2 punch. They're relying on a lot of their tight end help with their 2 tight ends, and Rodgers really seems to like Freiermuth a lot. Their running game is okay, but it's not top tier. It's not Jonathan Taylor or it's not even like Kenny Walker or Charbonnet. Their running game is sufficient, but it's not off the charts. They can't rely on it like a Derrick Henry type or a Jonathan Taylor or even like Cook there in Buffalo. Jaylen Warren I love the kid. He's really good at especially catching the ball out of the backfield, which Rodgers loves. But when the defense knows you're going to run and you can give it to your running back and get that 1 or 2 yards anyway, that's the kind of running back you need to make waves in the playoffs. And we don't see that that's the kind of running back that they have. So I could be wrong. That's our opinion. But that being said, that's why they're in Tier 3. But again, interesting. We've got 8 teams, clear cut, we think, in the AFC. We think that these 8 teams will be your playoff teams. One of them is going to be left out, obviously, right? But we believe that these are your 8 playoff teams that are vying for the AFC. If you had to kind of throw one more into the mix there, it's going to be between Jacksonville and Houston, and it's how fast does C.J. Stroud come back. Houston keeps getting better and playing defense, and if they were to like run the table and win out, okay, they're going to be some team to contend with. We think that with Houston, they have some coaching issues, and that along with consistency from the quarterback position leaves them on the outside, and their record as it stands right now leaves them on the outside looking in. And then everybody knows Jacksonville. I love Trevor Lawrence as a person. My wife used to say I had a man crush on him because he's a good-looking kid and all that. But as you guys know, the Trevor Lawrence experience, man, you don't know what to expect week to week with the guy. He beats KC, and then look at the trouble he had with the Raiders. So, again, inconsistent quarterback play with that guy. Okay, NFC tiers. Here goes the controversy because we're going to start. I'm sure you're going to be fine until I get to the bottom. Then you're going to be like, what? Tier 1, Eagles and the Rams. I don't think anybody would dispute in the NFC, the Eagles are your Super Bowl champs, and even with all their supposed issues and drama in the locker room, A.J. Brown, everything going on, they keep on winning. And they're Roseman, Howie Rosen, and the coach there, they just keep winning. They know what they're doing. It works for them. So you can think what you want with what drama's going on with A.J. Brown, but that being said, the Eagles just keep on winning. And keep in mind, Saquon Barkley has not really gone off yet this year. He has not really he had one game, but he hasn't really done what he did last year. They're winning different ways this year than they did last year. So, and again, a lot of it is hurt. And I'm telling you guys, by the way, I just bet to win MVP. I'm not calling it he's going to. But when you look at his statistics, I talked about this last week a little bit, that Hurts statistics, he's on pace. If you AI it, he's on pace to get 40 touchdowns total, passing and rushing, and throw 2, maybe 3 interceptions. That's like historic stuff. But all he does is keep winning. And yet he gets like no love and no credit from the pundits and the writers and the sportscasters and ESPN and all those guys. Nobody seems to give Hurt any respect. All he did was win a Super Bowl and the MVP for Super Bowl. So, what do I know? But and I'm not an Eagles fan, but the guy, give credit where credit is due. So tier 1, we've got the Eagles and of course the Rams. You guys look at Stafford is like a surgeon out there. They've got 2 wide receiver ones, Puka Nacua, no one can even dispute that. But he goes down, or if he's being double covered, Adams has 5 touchdowns in 2 games. And by the way, we told you guys prior to week 1, my ride or die for all you fantasy guys out there was Davante Adams, which the guy over there at the big network said that Omari and Hampton was his ride or die. Was he wrong? Maybe not. but he's not playing, and availability on the IR is not where you're getting any points. And bottom line is, we called Davante Adams, and we told you for the price you were getting him in the third, fourth, or maybe even fifth round, and all that, you're getting a wide receiver one in the earliest third, but average fourth and latest fifth round. That's a steal, because that's like getting, Jamar Chase in the third round type of thing. We told you guys, a lot of our fantasy picks have come to fruition, as we told you guys. Go back to our week one and listen. But we had the tight end for Indy, like we did last year. We had the tight end. We had Brock Bowers. We said this was Brock Bowers all over again. And sure enough, Tyler Warren there in Indy. We told you guys the quarterbacks are expensive. If you can get a quarterback when you want him, like a Josh Allen, of course it's worth it. But we said if you want to take the approach of getting more running back and wide receiver, top tier, in the first 4 rounds, and go bargain hunting for what will be a quarterback that will get you same like production. We told you guys Baker Mayfield. We told you guys Bo Nix. And along those lines, using that logic, the second Jackson Dart became available. You guys should have jumped all over Jackson. This is waivers tonight and stuff. Jackson Dart, go look at his performances. Because he's using his legs, he's better than Justin Fields, and so he's somebody that you want to pick up right away. Or like the tight end over there at the Chargers is gaining steam. Herbert is finding that he loves his tight end over there. Grab him off the waiver wires. You've got the running back over there in Chicago. His name is escaping me right now because he's got a funky name. But the running back in Chicago that just ran all over Cincy last week. Monangai. Get Kyle Monangai. He's a good waiver wire pickup. The wide receivers in Denver are interesting. But our point is that we everything we told you guys in fantasy for week one, a little bit of hinting, came to fruition. We even said that there were 2 kickers that would make a huge difference week to week, and it was Aubrey and Boswell for the Dallas and the Steelers, and both have come up big, where they score as much as most flex positions do week to week. And along those lines, we even mentioned Cam Little, because he would be good from 70, and we forecasted that he would probably set the record this year, and he's already done that. What was it he hit? I think he hit a 68-yarder this weekend, which is the new record, and we think that Aubrey will probably tie it or break it before the end of the year, and Little will also, again, re-break it or tie it, and they'll go back and forth. But one of those 2 kids will hit a 70-plus yarder before the end of the season. I'm betting it. So there's those kinds of things. We'll talk more on Friday a little bit about, again, speaking of that, betting and how to make a little bit of extra money. There are some funky lines. Like this past week, there was one that I didn't mention to you guys, so it's for nothing now. And they're rare. But if your book offers like weird bets, like will the game go into overtime? The Jacksonville Raiders game, if you said yes, it would go into overtime. It was like a plus 6,500 or plus 5,000 to make that bet. So again, it's not something where you're going to put $100 on it, but it's fun to put like $5 on it. And hey, $5 will get you 500. So not or 250 even. Not bad odds, and something kind of cool to hit and brag about Monday at work. So anyway, tier 1, Eagles and Rams. Rams, obviously, because they score, they move the ball, they've got the quarterback, they've got 2 wide receiver ones, they've got a running game with their running back, and then they've got decent tight end play. But their defense is flying around and legit, especially at linebacker and edge rusher with all the rookies. They've hit on their draft choices, and so their defense is cheap but effective, and they are one of the better top 10 defenses in the league against teams, and so they can hang with anybody is our point. Their tier, and that breaks my heart to say it because I'm a Seahawks fan, but we got Rams and Eagles in tier 1. Tier 2, and this will become more clear by the end of the year, is we've got the Seahawks and the 49ers. I wanted to put Seahawks in tier 1, but they've lost to the 49ers on a fluke ending in week 1, and they have not played the Rams yet. They got 2 times to play the Rams and 1 more to play the 49ers. We'll find out a lot this week. To me, if they beat Arizona handedly, this will tell me a lot about how legit they really are and what their real chances are. We think they're a top 5 defense. We think that Darnold is a top 5, top 10 quarterback. We think that they've got almost all the pieces. They traded for another wide receiver today, shoring up so that if you want to double Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp is healthy but running the slot, and we've got this kid Horton that looks good, but now we've got a take the top off guy that we took out, traded New Orleans for, and so it looks interesting. Our defense is solid with Big Cat Williams leading the charge. The front, their thing is they're rushing 4 and they're getting home, and the back end, the corners and the safeties are flying around and ball hawking, and it reminds me of the 2014 LOB defense that we had when we won our Super Bowl. The quarterback play is much more surgical and not maybe quite as mobile, but much more surgical. And then you've got Kenny Walker and Charbonnet, who are more than capable running backs with the 1-2 punch, and they can block and catch out of the backfield. So they're almost a complete team. We'll see this weekend when they play Arizona. If they can beat Arizona, not just pull out a win, but really play them well and beat them soundly, that will tell us a lot going forward. And then if we can even split with the Rams and take back the win against the Niners in San Fran, we could win this division and we would make some waves in the playoffs. And again, we showed you guys in week 1, we'll show you guys again, but we have like a ticket where, for $10, if the Seahawks and the Denver Broncos meet in the Super Bowl, irregardless of who wins, we're going to win $14,000 or $16,000 depending on which one of them wins. But it only costed $20 total investment. And so again, it's little things like that we want to show you guys how you can make some serious money while having some fun with this, and it doesn't cost you much of an investment. All right, tier 2, Seahawks and the Niners. Tier 3, Green Bay, Lions, and Tampa Bay. I don't think I have to explain why Green Bay isn't in a tier 1 or tier 2 after this past week. They've lost to Cleveland after being late in the fourth quarter, leading by 10. They lost that game. They tied Dallas in a shootout, which Dallas isn't that good, especially on defense. And then they just lost at home, Green Bay at home, to the Carolina Panthers, who, by the way, are much better than people think. But if Green Bay was a legit Super Bowl contender, these are not games that they're supposed to be losing. That's what we think, that they have the talent, but they're missing something. They're not turning it off and on. And so right now it's completely off. So Green Bay is in the tier 3 bracket. Right next door to them is the Lions, for obvious reasons, losing to Minnesota last week. And when you really look at who they've beat, their Lions, there's no huge quality win. They haven't beaten Buffalo. They haven't beaten Kansas City. They lost to Kansas City. They haven't beaten the Seahawks or the Rams or the Eagles, right? Or they did beat Tampa Bay, but it was when Tampa Bay was at its decimated. Evans was out. Igbuka was out. I mean, Tampa Bay was, pieced together and scotch taped together with all the injuries that weekend that they played. So it wasn't a very quality, impressive win. And then in that same tier, we have Tampa Bay, because they just keep on winning. And the couple of losses they have are very much explainable. The problem with Tampa Bay is, one, can they stay healthy enough to get to the end? Because that's a part of it. And number 2, can they get back on track to winning the way they have been? Because they're basically just coming off of a loss to the Lions. Then they beat New Orleans, which again, they beat who was in front of them. So kudos to them for that. But that's why they're in tier 3. They should be in tier 2, but we're not quite convinced yet, because the tiers in the NFC are so solid in 1 and 2 that we figure Tampa Bay is almost like a 2.5, not quite a 3, but still there's no 2.5, so they're in the 3s. And here's where everybody's going to yell and scream and call me an idiot. But there's a tier 4. If any of the tier 1, 2, and 3s have any missteps or injuries plague them and ravage them, or whatever excuses you want to throw in there, but there's enough runway left. There's enough games left. We're only in week 10. We haven't played week 10 yet. So there's 10 through 18. Some people still have to get their buys, but that's basically 7 to 8 more games. That is a lot of runway for these 3 teams who are in this 4th tier. The Bears, we're not saying they're going to make the playoffs even, but there's a chance. Their coach has changed the culture. Their thinking is different. They're learning how to win. Caleb Williams doesn't turn over the ball. And again, even in the ridiculous shootout last week and that ridiculous way, they almost lost to Cincinnati, but they didn't lose. And that's the key. And can they win the Super Bowl? Hell no. Not even close. But can they make waves and sneak into the playoffs and be in wild card weekend? There's some scenarios it could fall out that way. So keep your eyes. And again, we're telling you guys stuff like this because if you're lucky enough to live in Vegas where you can go to Circa, go to the Circa, look at the exactas and see what's going on now, and maybe take the Bears meeting the Steelers in the Super Bowl for $10. It still might get you $5,000 kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So that's why we cover some of this stuff. So the Bears are an interesting look. The Panthers, same argument I just gave you for the Bears, except it's not about the quarterback. It's about the team as a whole. They found their running game with Dowdle. He's legit. That's a guy I'd bet $5 or $10 to make offensive player or rookie of the year. Rookie of the year for him because that's the way it would go because he's a rookie. But I'm sorry. Rico. I'm thinking of Harvey for the Denver. I'm sorry, my mistake. Rico Dowdle, though. Rico Dowdle's not a rookie, so for him, it would be Offensive Player of the Year. Bet $5 or $10 on him. He is coming out of nowhere, and he's making some waves. And again, that's the kind of stuff that America loves to root for. And the Panthers, their defense is playing. Green Bay last week, I'll give you another mind-blowing stat. Green Bay did not punt once in that game, but somehow they only scored 13 points. So they couldn't convert for touchdowns, or they turned it over, or turn over on downs. They didn't punt. I mean, that's amazing. If I told you 2 stats, that Bryce Young, the quarterback for the Panthers, would pass for 100 yards, and Green Bay did not punt in that game, you would have bet the house on Green Bay. Score ended up 16-13. NFL's wacky, but wacky to the point that this fourth tier, the Bears, the Panthers, and what you saw on Monday night, the Cardinals. We think that the Cardinals have lost 5 games by 10 points, and they could easily be 5-2 or 5-3 or 6-2, rather than the 2 wins they have, and they lose the way they lose to 10. I mean, they've just been snake bit. But it's not too late for them if they believe. And with Brissett, it's a catalyst, and they could go on a run. I mean, God forbid, but if they win on this Sunday, beating Seahawks, that galvanizes that team and gives them the belief that they are in this thing. And again, if any of the teams, Eagles, Rams, Seahawks, Niners, obviously if they won the Seahawks, that's the Seahawks misstep. Green Bay, the Lions, and Tampa Bay, if any of those teams fall far enough and the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Bears are making their push, it could switch, and one of the 7 could swap places. All we're saying is it ain't over yet. It's always interesting. The NFL is always wacky. So consider a lot of that. We will be back Friday. We'll give you our picks. We'll give you some props. We'll give you some ideas to think about how to approach and make some money with some low investment, high return stuff. We'll show you guys a couple of tickets, etc. But for this one, my son's showing you again. Shout out to Jones. But in any event, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love that we're gaining some viewers every week. We thank you guys for that. Tell your friends. Press the subscribe button. Give us a like. Even if you want to put us on while you're in the shower or washing dishes, or just put us on one of your tablets and then go do something yard work. But give us a chance and run us so that the algorithms know that other people will get us notified to watch us, because we're out here for you, working hard and trying to make you guys some little extra money and have some fun at the sports books. So anyway, we thank you guys all for your attention and your time, and we know time is the most valuable, precious we all have, so we thank you so much for that. Press the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you guys Friday. Aloha, mahalo, be good to yourselves, be kind to each other. Peace out.